Again, I'm from New Jersey. I'm self-employed. I've been very successful with my professional life, but not necessarily with dating. So the program has been extremely useful for me for a few different reasons. I mean, the women that I have come into contact with and have connected with, watching what they go through, and just connecting on a regular basis has made me feel supported, and it's so useful. Um, the program has given me clarity to what I should be doing in my life, what I shouldn't be doing. I had a list a mile long before of what I wanted as somebody, and it was so confusing. So I've gotten a lot more clarity. I would say if you're thinking about joining, if you want to make a change in your life, a real change, do it. Go ahead and do it and sign up, because this will force you to focus on what you haven't been focusing on before.
Hello, my name is Joan, and I live in the Boston, Massachusetts area, and I have worked in high tech as an analyst for over 30 years. I did a lot of dating in my mid-50s, which went well, but then as I got a little bit older, I definitely needed to make many changes in myself. The three items that come to mind about what are the biggest benefits of working with E&D. The first, I would say, Lisa. Her coaching expertise is amazing. She's like no one else. And I have worked with other coaches in the past. I would say number two would be the coursework that Lisa has put together. The modules are amazing. And if you follow the modules step by step with her program, you cannot go wrong. I would say number three would be the biweekly coaching sessions that are a minimum of 2 hours each. And sometimes they go way longer. So you may be talking about 4 to 5 hours of coaching every week. The material that they cover is incredible. The women in the program, which range from all ages, their vulnerability on the calls, it's not replaceable by anything. What would I tell others about joining this class? Oh, that's easy. I already have. I've told friends, join this class because you can't go wrong. Join it and don't wait. Don't waste any more time. I thought the money was a lot. Now it's like, doesn't even matter. My experience in E&D has been absolutely amazing.
All right. Hello, everybody. It is so great to have you here. And I hope that you all really heard some of what the women are saying in that video, because I think it's really important just to highlight the overall message there is that they were floundering, these women, in their love lives. And they realized that they needed to invest in themselves to really just stop and focus and make this part of their lives a priority and commit fully to getting this solved, because trying to do it on their own or trying to fit this into their busy, busy, busy lives was almost impossible. And so by doing our program, by signing up to work with us, these women have literally transformed this entire part of their lives. They feel calmer, they feel more present, they feel more capable of sitting across from quality men and actually knowing what they're doing, not hoping for a miracle, not hoping for chemistry and some kind of magic to happen. These women understand that by educating themselves in this part of their lives, truly becoming experts, masters of men and how to date, they are able to attract the kind of man they've always wanted to attract. So today, well, first of all, I want to welcome everybody, and I want to acknowledge you all for taking the time out of your busy lives, out of your schedules to show up live for these calls. So thank you for that. I also want to remind you that we have prizes. We have some gifts, just to encourage and acknowledge those of you who truly do show up. We want to acknowledge you and thank you for that. So the first thing that we are doing is we are giving away a gift bag, which is all of my Lisa Shield promo stuff that we've created and our swag that we give away at our retreats with the women who do our programs. And those are live retreats that we do for the women who go through our courses. And so we give them this really great swag. You can win that as a prize if you post the most. And I'm watching that Facebook group, by the way. That is me commenting in there. So when you post in that Facebook group, I just want you to know that for the next 10 days, you are not engaging with my team. You're engaging with Lisa Shields. So just know that. Know when you post in there. And I am watching and I'm going to pick the woman that I feel really gets emotionally naked and vulnerable and really shares her homework and herself with that group. So I am watching you. The second thing we are going to do is for one woman who shows up every day live on the calls, Benjamin is going to write her profile. And we're going to talk about profile writing later in this presentation today. So this is worth its weight in gold. Please do not minimize it. And if you get it and you're not going to use that gift, then let us know, because we will give it to another woman who really appreciates it. This profile is instrumental in connecting our clients with the guardians of their souls. My husband is the one who came up with those words. He wrote that in his book, Handbook for the Heart, before he ever met me. He coined that phrase. And Benjamin, the guardian of my soul, the man who coined that phrase, will write your dating profile for you. And those profiles matter. And then the third thing is, for the first 5 women who join our program, Benjamin and I are going to do a special session just for you. And the women who did the last one said that it was amazing. They got so much value out of that one-on-one time. And they said that it was really a game changer for them. They were able to ask us directly questions, and we had a beautiful, beautiful dialogue. And all 5 of those women had a chance to interact with us on that call. So those are the gifts. And I'm curious how many of you did your homework, and if you did the 3 things that you feel make you undateable. And if any of you are brave enough, if you are brave enough to put that in the chat, I want to know just one thing that you feel makes you undateable. Anybody come up with anything? Michael, can you please enable the chat? I think that hasn't been done. So we we aren't getting our highs and hellos. At least I'm not seeing them. Is the chat enabled? Host and panelists, everyone. Okay. All right. I don't see any hellos or highs or where you're from, who's out there. I'd love to get some names going here. This is how we know who's showing up and who's participating. Jackie, hello. Amber, hi. Joanna, Katie, Carrie, this is great. Okay. From North Carolina. All right, Mary. Oh, and Liz from Liverpool. We do these middays so that we can get some of you UK people on these master classes. So this is brilliant. We want to see those women from across the pond. All right. Kristen says, I have a house sham. I'm afraid about my clean yet humble apartment. Oh, honey. All right. I have a lot of walls making me unlovable. Hello from the Netherlands. Hello. Shame. Oh, Shame, Kristen, can be toxic. It can be so toxic and hold us back, and I had a wonderful friend here this weekend who said the loveliest thing to me. It just really touched my heart. And it was such an acknowledgement and something that I've so grown into, and I would wish this for all of you. She said, Lisa, you're so good at, we were talking about shadow work, about Jung and shadow work and all. And she said, it's not that you don't have a shadow, but she said, when I listen to you talk, you own your shadow. You're so comfortable, and all the things that other people would shame themselves for, you just own that stuff, the way you talk about yourself. And when I'm with you, it's like, what those things are. And I really want you to know that we spend so much time feeling so much shame about who we are because other people have shamed us. And then we turn around and we turn that back on ourselves. Well, if they feel that way, certainly it must be true. And when you start to see uh, that, when you start to really own these parts of yourself, and you own your own imperfection, and you actually just really genuinely stop trying to be perfect, it is the most luscious thing in life. Like, you really just, that's where you step into actually accepting and loving yourself and embracing all of the nuances of who you are. And you don't have to be afraid of that. And nobody can hurt you in those ways again. I remember there's something in our course about a whole concept called your imposter, where you may be doing so much work on yourself and you run into a man who is everything you thought, here you think, oh my God, here he is. I've been doing all this work and here's my imposter. And then he turns out not to be the guy. And in a way, it could be soul crushing, but it isn't. And that's the magic of meeting the imposter, is that moment where you realize that this person is just projecting all of his stuff on you, and that these things have nothing to do with you, right? And you walk away. In one way, you were so excited and you thought you'd found him, and then he turns out not to be your guy, only this time you don't fall apart. And you realize how amazing you are and how much work you've done and how much you just accept yourself. And somebody can hurl insults at you. They can do all these things. They can lie. They can, be mean and selfish and say whatever they say. And it just doesn't faze you. And that's when you really know you love yourself. You don't turn it on them and say, well, you're a jerk too. How dare you? You don't even get defensive. And that's really the gift of doing a lot of this work, and especially dating. When you're going out into the dating world, the more men you date and you really have a loving and open heart, and the more you learn to accept your true self, all the different facets of you, then the more you're able to just start to let go. You're not defensive, right, Kristen? You let go of your defensiveness. I remember when I was working with one of my teachers, he said something beautiful that really stuck with me. He said, you should never have to justify or defend or explain yourself to anyone. People will either get you or they won't. You should never have to justify or explain yourself to anyone. People will either get you or they won't. And the people who don't get you, those aren't your people. You don't want to be around people and try to prove yourself to people who don't get you. Even your kids, your parents. You don't need to justify or explain yourself to anybody, and you don't want a partner where you feel you have to do that. And you get to choose who that man is. You know, when I met Benjamin, I looked in his eyes and I thought that my very first thought was, oh my God, this is the kindest man I've ever met. And that kindness, I have been the beneficiary of that man's kindness for 22 years. He could say anything to me, anything, because he does it with such kindness and love and respect. And that was the partner I was looking for. I'd had enough of unkindness. I'd had enough of having to justify and explain myself to people. And I'm sure you have too. And you have to understand you have the power of choice. So let's get into today's material. Okay. I want to dive into our material from today. And what we're talking about, the subject today is reinventing yourself to attract a man on your level. So the reason, you're not attracting a man on your level is because you don't feel you deserve it. And I say that not because you don't think you deserve it, because I think, all of you, many of you would say, well, I deserve it. I have a great career. I have this, I have that. But you don't show that you deserve it with the choices you're making. The choices you are making are not self-honoring choices. You put up with things, you second guess yourselves, you compromise. And so a woman who believes that she deserves this, she will make choices that back up her belief. And she won't second guess herself. She won't doubt that there aren't men out there. First of all, you have got to stop telling yourself that there aren't any men on your level. There are plenty of men on your level. One of the things, and I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna say anything political, but one of the things that is so uh, that really is blowing my mind and really touching my heart right now is one of the themes that I'm seeing uh, about men. We are actually, in what's happening out in our political world, we are starting to see some really extraordinary examples of men. Now, if just objectively as a love coach, and I'm talking about a woman who can look at men's character and tell you, like, we have not seen very many powerful examples of loving, masculine, positive masculinity. And at least I am seeing that right now for the first time in a long, long, long time. And not just one example, but many examples of men stepping up who are being really beautiful examples of what it means to be a man. And we haven't seen that. And we see lots and lots and lots of powerful, mind-blowing examples of extraordinary women. But culturally, what we see are the Jeffrey Epsteins and all the men who are despicable. Men who, the whole Me Too movement was about that. And so we get so much negativity in the press about men, but we don't see these shining examples of great men, the Keanu Reeves of this world. And so, and the Jason Baldonis, For those of you who don't know Jason Baldoni's work, I highly, highly, highly recommend you read Man Enough. It is brilliant. He also did a TED Talk, and it's really moving to see this. So check out Jason Baldoni, or Justin, I'm sorry, it's Justin Baldoni. But check out Man Enough. It's amazing, and watch his TED Talk. You know, Keanu Reeves is another beautiful example of positive masculinity. We need more examples of these kinds of men because it's really hard to believe in men if we don't. So, reinventing yourself to attract a man on your level. Don't kid yourself. These men can see through you in a nanosecond. A really self-aware man who has his act together and knows what he wants and knows what he's looking for, he will spot a dramatic, self-absorbed, insecure woman from a mile away. Now, he may think you're beautiful, and you could be the most stunningly beautiful woman on the planet. But if you are not secure, if you are not embracing your feminine nature, if you do not understand how to talk to these men in a way that they will respect you and see you as the kind of woman they would want to be with, they are going to move on so fast and you won't even know. They'll come and go. And the truth is, you may not even be aware enough at a higher, vibrating at a high enough frequency yet to even be able to distinguish those men from the men who are not worth your time and trouble. So, what you're looking for right now may not be the right things. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So, reinventing yourself, if you think about one of the most beautiful things ever written is the Serenity Prayer. Now, we have a part in everything, and it's up to you to own that part. The other person has a part too, but all you can do is own your part. So the Serenity Prayer says, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, that prayer, if you really, really sit with it, is profound. You can't change other people, places, or things, but you can change how you show up in the face of those things and how you respond. So I encourage you to start, to write the serenity prayer somewhere where you can see it to remind you. I remember when I was doing a lot of work on myself, and sometimes I would start to feel very attacked or on the defensive. That was a big posture for me personally. I was very defensive. And I would just say the serenity prayer to myself. And I encourage you to do this because those words are soothing. And then I would ask myself, what is my part? Because when you can ask, what is my part? You have power. You take back your power when you say, what are the things I can change? That starts to empower you in the face of this. Right now, many of you feel disempowered in your dating lives. You feel like you get scammed and there's nobody reaching out to you, or the guys you like don't like you, or you can't get to a second or a third date, or maybe you keep sleeping with these guys too soon. But you're giving all your power away. So you have to ask, you have to have the courage to change the things you can. And I don't know what those things are for you. Some of you are sitting there waiting for men to reach out to you because you're too afraid of the rejection if you were to reach out to some men that you really find attractive. But you're going to have to risk and take chances to break these patterns. And we talked about patterns, or no, maybe I talked about patterns in a different talk. I did 2 talks yesterday. I think the other one was about pattern breaking. But patterns are powerful. Anytime there is a repeating pattern in your life, you are the common denominator in that pattern. You're the common denominator. Something you are doing is causing that pattern to repeat in your life. And by asking yourself, what is my part in this? What am I doing that is repeatedly getting me that same result? Do I keep attracting avoidance because I'm turned on by that behavior? I love it when these guys come on strong. I love it when they really like me and shower me with compliments. And, I love that rush and that high. Maybe that's what you're searching for. So those guys, those avoidants, do that. And if you keep rushing and running into avoidance, it's because you're falling for that behavior, not because you're unlucky and you just keep attracting these guys. And the only way you can break that pattern is by making a different choice, by starting to date men who don't sweep you off your feet, by slowly getting to know them rather than just jumping into a relationship. So for that pattern to break for you, you have to take back your power. You have to ask, what is my part? What do I have the power or the courage to change here? And then sit with, what is my part? And then make a different choice. So one of the things that many of you do, and this came up a lot yesterday, that I think you really need to look at is, many, many, many of you are super powerful, successful, strong women, and you pride yourself on that. And something that you don't realize you're doing, it's not that men are intimidated by your accomplishments. Some men will be because it makes them feel incompetent, because they don't feel they have anything to offer you. But there are plenty of other men who are very successful, who are not intimidated by strong, successful women. The problem is that you lead with your success to try to impress men. You lead with your success, and that's a very masculine behavior. So you're going to have to shift that. So if you look in your workbook, that is the first big misconception, that you're going to impress a man because you're so accomplished. Well, he'll be impressed, but he won't be turned on. He's going to be turned on by you for other reasons, because of your sensuality and your warmth and your laughter. And, you know, the fact that you're successful just tells him that you have your life together. But men today, they expect women to be successful. They expect it. It's not something that's, many, many, many women are successful today. So, yes, that's a benefit. He wants you to have your life together, but he also wants all those other qualities that come along with being a feminine woman. Another big misconception that you have about men that you are going to need to shift is that many of you assume men are players or avoidant, and that they don't want the same things that we want. So many of you assume that men are just players, they just want sex. I mean, some of you say these things. So you have to um, Look at your thoughts. Look at how you're creating this. Look at how the beliefs that you have about men, because those beliefs color the way you interact with them. So if you think all men are players, or if you think all men only want sex, you're going to do, let's just say you believe that all men want sex. What you're going to do is you'll go on dates, and that's in the back of your mind. So either you're going to be very guarded and you're going to wait until a man comes on to you, and then you're going to be offended and it's going to affirm that belief. Or you may use sex to try to attract men, or sexuality, because you think that that's what they want from you as a woman. So you engage them at that level, but it will affect your behavior. A much better story to be living in and telling yourself is, there are wonderful men out there who are mature and know how to engage with a woman, who's in her heart, who are loving and kind and great communicators. And that's the man I'm looking for. And yeah, there are some men that just want sex. So what? There are some women who are gold diggers and are just after men's money. So what? You're playing a different game. You're playing in a different playground, right? You want to play with the people, the men who want the same things. You want to attract the men who want the same things you do. So your biggest, you need a big, you have to reinvent yourself, a huge mindset shift in this part of your life. You need to educate yourself. You need to learn about men, great men, and how to be a great woman. I talked yesterday about how I noticed on a Q&A call with one of my groups that there were several women that when they talked about, the men that they were dating and a couple of the dates they'd been on, they sounded more like 15-year-old girls than grown women. So by educating yourself in this part of your life, you're going to shift your behavior. You're going to become much more conscious and aware of men and women and what they want from us, and how to communicate your needs to them, how to ask for what you want in a feminine way. And as you shift these behaviors, which will happen naturally as you do this work with us, you are going to start to vibrate at a higher frequency, and you're going to attract a different caliber of men. That's how this really works. It's not a tactic. It's not a strategy. I'm not going to, there's some stuff about this works with men and this doesn't, but it has to be natural and from the heart. And what we do is we shift you from the inside out. So we do that in this course. The first thing, what we do is we all have so many blind spots in this area. Like, how many of you, do you all know that you have blind spots in your love life, in your dating life? Do you all believe? I want to get some yeses in that chat. I want to see some, I got some blind spots. Come on, ladies. Let's hear some. I got some, blind as a bat. Okay. Good. Yes. That is a brilliant starting point. There is nothing like some good down-to-earth humility here for getting this journey going. Blind spots, right? We all have blind spots, things we don't know about ourselves. Now, some of us are afraid, as I was saying earlier, we shame ourselves, right? We're scared to look into those dark places and and uncover some of these blind spots. But I'm going to tell you something. Doing this work is so brilliant because one of the things that we do is we don't just help you identify your blind spots, but we show you how to see them, process them, and get to the other side quickly. Because what we often do is we start going to therapy, and don't get me wrong, therapy is necessary, a lot of good, a lot of wonderful uses for it. But there are ways in which we can get too caught up in processing this stuff over and over again and not moving through it so that we can get to the other side. So in our work, we have you do your relationship inventory. And this relationship inventory is brilliant. Brilliant. And I didn't even know, I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but I have had enough women do this process and tell me it was brilliant, right? They would say to me, oh my God, this is amazing. And I've never done anything like this. And I've been doing self-help work for years and years and years. And even therapy, I didn't do anything like this. So and you couldn't do this on your own because there's a whole process to it that I created myself. But the way I do this, I have you look at your entire relationship history, right? And then I have you go through this very important series of questions about all the men that you have been with, all the romantic relationships you've had. And then I very magically start pulling all the pieces, helping you put all the pieces of your love life together, all the pieces of this puzzle through this process, so that after you've done your relationship inventory, you have identified these key blind spots. You know exactly what you've been doing and why you've been holding on to this stuff, and you come through that inventory and you wind up with 5 key patterns that have been repeating throughout this entire history. We reduce your entire relationship history down to these 5 patterns. And then we take those 5 patterns and we take you through your final 5. So how many of you, let's see here, let's get some repeating patterns. You guys are great at this stuff. You know your patterns. So I want to see, give me some repeating patterns. I attract men who are avoidants. I attract narcissists. I attract guys who are addicts. Let's get a pattern or two going here in the chat. Okay, I attract narcissistic men. I'm a fixer. I attract men who cheat, bad boys who aren't serious. I attract addicts, men who are non-committal, men who avoid. I attract most men and push them all away. Kristen, you have an avoidant attachment style. I attract men who are available, avoidant. All right. Anybody attract men who are financially unstable? Any of you do that? Men who don't have money, who you have to, yes. Okay. Yep. Thumbs up there. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this. So let's just say you did your relationship inventory, and then you look at doing your final 5. Okay. And let's just use that example, if you don't mind, of of money, not, attracting men who don't have money. Okay. And you're going to do this for your homework. You're going to take, uh, you are going to take, your, um, you're going to take a repeating pattern, and then you're going to ask yourself. So let's say you attract men who don't have money. You are going to ask yourself, what do I get out of attracting men like that? What do I get out of attracting men who don't have money? What do I get from it? What do I get out of attracting men who don't have money? And then you're going to ask yourself, what do I want to attract? I want to attract a man who's financially stable, who can, you know, build a life with me. What do you want to attract? And then the third thing you'll ask yourself is, what do I have to change in order to attract that? There's a reason why you're not attracting men like that. So, what do I get out of attracting men like that? What do I want to attract? And what do I have to change to attract that? So, if you are attracting men who don't make money or who are financially unstable, there are a lot of things that you may get out of that. You might get that um, he needs you. You don't feel that you're good enough to have a man be with you for you, but if he needs you for your money, you can hook him with that, right? So you get a guy that's dependent on you, that needs you for something. You feel powerful. Exactly, Shanice. So you need to look at that. And then what do you have to change to attract a man who is financially stable? You need to believe that you really deserve it and only date men who you feel are financially stable so that you can work through any of the insecurities that come up around that. You have to learn how to receive from them. Some of you are with men who, aren't financially stable because you don't know how to receive. So you might have to focus on learning how to sit back and let a man take care of you and do things for you and treat you beautifully and believe that you deserve to be cherished and adored. So those three questions, you want to take some time tonight and pick a pattern that's really powerful for you and answer those three questions. And then you may want to put that in the Facebook group and share some of this stuff. And remember, I'm in there every day, several times a day. I'm in there, I'm looking, I'm answering some of your questions and responding to you. So please jump into the Finding the Guardian of Your Soul Facebook group. And if we can get that link up there in the chat, that would be awesome. So, uh, um, the next thing that we have you do is we have you write your profile. We write your profile for you. So once you've done your final 5 and you've done your inventory and all, we're ready to start looking at your profile. So these profiles that my husband Benjamin writes are extraordinary. And they may not be what you would write for yourself, but I promise you, they attract a completely different caliber of men. They speak to the hearts of the men that you really want to reach. Now, not everybody loves to read literature, but there are people that really where they read amazing books and they love literature and it speaks to their souls, and there are men who read. And Benjamin knows how to speak to the souls of men who are like him. So our profiles are not just something that, we're going to say, oh, well, guys like this and blah, blah, blah. These are really amazing, amazing profiles. So some of the key phrases that you might want to include in, or, things that you want to include, you want to be honest and upfront, and you do not want to bury the lead. So you would say things like, and this is going to fly in the face of a lot of what some of you believe because you're scared that you're going to turn men off by asking directly for what you want. And the truth is, you should turn off the men who don't want those things. You're wasting your time if they're clear that those things are not what they want. So you can be honest and upfront and not bury the lead. You would say, looking for my future partner and father of my children. Benjamin would put that right up front and center in the first paragraph or even the first line of a profile. I'm looking for my future partner, soulmate, someone to feel safe and secure with and have a loving, intimate relationship. The second thing is you want to be positive. So you want to use words in your profile like optimistic, appreciative, grateful, drama-free, vividly descriptive. So appreciative, grateful, drama-free, be vividly descriptive, right? Playful, loving life, love, things like that. And then the third thing that you might put in a profile is, I love to laugh. These men, they want women they can laugh with and have fun with, and they don't want seriousness and processing and being overly intellectual. I mean, yes, there's time for some of that, but they also just want to have fun with you. The next thing that you would put in your profile is, I don't take myself too seriously, right? They want to have fun with you. They don't want a woman who takes herself too seriously. And so many of you do. I know I did. I took myself way too seriously. I wouldn't have wanted to have been in a relationship with myself back then. And the final thing is, be descriptive. Create a feeling of sensuality. You would say things like, I luxuriate in sharing quiet moments together. I love new experiences and adventures, the warmth of the sun on my face, deep powder when I'm skiing turns me on, the smell of espresso in the morning, the sound of rain at night, cool sheets, the ocean, anywhere. Gazing at it, having time stand still, and even better when your arms are wrapped around me. I love scuba diving and going down into the deep, dark depths where the largest fish and caverns create a mystical experience. You get it. All right. And then we're getting to the finale here, the wish list. So we do a wish list. Once you have your final five, the five things you must have in a partner and the five things you have to change inside yourself to have that, then you get to write down every single thing you truly want in a partner. And you get to choose the 10 things that really are the 10, things that you really would like to have. So the must-haves, the final five are the five things you absolutely must have. And that is a pattern-breaking exercise. You do not just make them up. You have to go through the relationship inventory and my final five process to do that. And then we write your profile and you do your wish list. And that is how we help you start to reinvent yourself to attract a man on your level. And what's so beautiful about all of this is that as you go through these processes, you start to transform inside because you get so much clarity on these blind spots, what you've been doing, and how you can change it going forward. And we make it fun and playful and exciting. And we give you the support you need to do this work on yourself. So it doesn't have to stretch out forever. And you don't have to keep crossing your fingers and hoping for a miracle. We actually give you a step-by-step plan that works for getting this solved. So please join our Finding the Guardian of Your Soul Facebook group. Please, we are offering as our gift to you a we are offering a 15-minute call with everybody. And we want you to sign up for these calls. We want to meet you. We want to get to know you. We have lots of exciting things in the works here at END. So if you've even done a call in the past, you want to jump on a call because we're doing some wonderful new things that we can talk to you about. So you want to check that out. So book your call because those are going to go away tomorrow. We truly want you to start thinking about working with us so that you can get this solved. You can get the love, the support to do this. And as Joan said, when she first signed up, she thought, wow, this is a big investment. And then after doing the course, she was like, that's not even an issue. So I know going into this, like many of you are thinking, well, I can do this on my own and I'll figure it out. Right up above, Erin put the link for you, Mary. It's right up above. We really want you to grab your spot. And tomorrow we're going to talk about the program, what we do, what the investment is. I'm going to give you more details on all of that. And we really want you to start asking yourself, am I kidding myself? How many years have I been telling myself I'd get this solved? How many books have I read? How many courses have I done? When I was being honest with myself about that question, I actually realized that every single thing I did, whether it was therapy or it was a self-help course or getting my master's in spiritual psychology, in the back of my mind with every single course I did, every program, every therapy session, underneath all of that was literally underneath it was, I'm going to find myself. I'm going to get myself together. And then I'm going to attract the most amazing man. And even though all of those things were helping me put different pieces of my life together, and I was learning and growing as I went along, I was doing all of that work in service to finding my guy. So one last thing here. I want to give you a few, some things that you would never put in your profile. Never, ever, ever. We always take out the word independent. Now, men may tell you they like independent women and they may say, I love your independence and whatever. It's not the best way to promote yourself. So I wouldn't put that in your profile. I wouldn't lead with your resume about your work and what you do. You are not your resume. A man would much rather hear, I'm playful, I'm sensual, I'm loving, I'm compassionate. I pride myself on being kind and caring, about towards those I love. So he would much rather hear that than your resume and what you do for a living. My husband always takes out, I love dancing in the kitchen. For him, as a grown-ass man, he may do that in a spontaneous moment, but that sounds a little silly to him, and so he always takes that out. Now, some guys may love dancing in the kitchen, but Benjamin is a very masculine man, and I see why he would take that out. Uh, you do not want to describe too much about the foods you love. That is not a great thing. Benjamin usually takes out a lot of mention. We had actually a woman who wrote an entire paragraph. It was hysterical. And it was a whole paragraph on every single thing she loved. And I like chocolate and I like this. And it was like Benjamin said, in a man's mind, all he could see would be that woman getting fatter and fatter and fatter before his very eyes. You may not like to hear that, but that's what the picture it was painting in his eyes. And you don't want to be negative. So please don't put any negative stuff in your profile. Do not say, if you love to drink, don't contact me. You can always phrase those things in a positive way. And as you do this work, you should get used to phrasing things positively. So you might say, I don't really enjoy drinking, and I would love to meet a man who feels the same way. So that's, saying the same thing, but two different ways of saying it. So this has been day 2 of Land a Man on Your Level. We want to encourage you to book your free 15-minute concierge session. Even if you've booked them before, we want to reconnect with you. So book your sessions with Erin and Diane. We want to get to know you. We want to share our new programs with you. We want to let you know what we're up to, and we want to hear what's going on in your life and how we can help you. So tell your friends about the masterclass tomorrow. Our session is getting emotionally naked with men so they feel safe opening up their hearts to you. This is the heart and soul of my program, Getting Emotionally Naked. Many of us can get physically naked, but what we're really longing for are these deep, emotionally naked connections with men. And just because you can talk to your girlfriends and, open up to them does not mean that you are emotionally available to men. And part of being emotionally available to men is knowing the right way to say things, to draw them closer to you and not push them away. Some of you think that just because you're telling men what you want and need, you can say that in a way that sounds demanding or entitled, or you can say it in a way that is loving and inviting and makes a man sit back and go, oh, okay, where he doesn't feel like he's being talked down to, or he's not being talked at, but where you've got to know that men want to feel like they have a choice. And if you tell them in a way that makes them feel like you're expecting them to do something, like I've told you what I want, now I expect you to do it. That's not going to fly with a lot of men. They're going to be very sensitive to that tone. So we're going to dive into that more tomorrow. Please join the Finding the Guardian of Your Soul Facebook group. I'm going to be in there for the whole of this masterclass. Please share your wins, your celebrations, your breakthroughs in the Facebook group. Come on these calls live because we have a prize for both. Sign up for your 15-minute call, and we will see you here tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you so much. And please book your call. Bye-bye.